All right, happy February. It was about 5 degrees this morning when I went out to shovel the driveway at 6. So we're not done with winter just yet. This month, we're going to look at the Beacon Appraisal Report again, and we'll do 3 graphs in Bend, we'll do 3 graphs in Redmond, kind of go through that normal data that we run through. So the very first one, as typical, we'll start with the Bend median home price. Now remember, the median is the midpoint, right? Half above, half below. So when you see these big spikes or these big valleys like we did in October when it jumped up to 800,000, was obviously because some more expensive homes sold than in October. So we're at 735,000 for the month of January. This seems to be pretty consistent. We're in that low sevens, mid sevens. We have been sitting there for quite a while. We'll look at number of sales, and I've got a great chart we'll jump to here in a few minutes, but number of sales in Bend, we actually did better than expected. We had 111 sales in January. And if you look back in January of 2024, we had 89. And then in January of 2023, there was just 84. So not only January, but December, the end of last year, performed better than we have the last couple of years. So hopefully this is a good sign that we'll have a more active market. It's certainly moving slower. Here's days on market in Bend sitting at 53. Again, this is kind of what we've seen the last couple of years. The market speeds up in the summer, homes sell quicker, and then it slows down in the winter for obvious reasons. There's a lot of things going on and snow and holidays and so on and so forth. All right, we'll pull those same 3 charts for Redmond now and just kind of compare those. So their median home price took a big jump in January to 562,000, which again is because there was a few homes that sold that were quite a bit on the higher end, more expensive, which caused their median home price to spike up. Otherwise, they've been floating around 500 or low 500s for a while. So I would suspect probably next month we'll see that number come back down. Redmond number of sales. So they're actually pretty on course for what they've done the last couple of years. 32 in January of this year, 36 January of last year, and then January of 2023, they had 37 sales. Okay, and the last chart for Redmond is the days on market. We saw them sitting at 60, pretty close to what Bend had. Again, same theme here, where it's just kind of slower in the winter, so homes are sitting a little bit longer. Okay, the last chart I'm going to show you from the Beacon report is something I didn't get a chance to show you last month, but this is pretty cool. So this is the Bend median home price over the last 27 years, from January of 97 to January of 2025. Pretty incredible to see this over a long stretch of time. This is about a 490% increase from the beginning of this chart to the end of it. Obviously, you can see the run up there in 2007 where we touched $396,000, and then we went through the Great Recession and it bottomed out at 166 in January of 2012. And we've been pretty consistently running up. So I thought this was fascinating to see this over a long stretch of time. Okay, so now I need to make a correction on some data that I showed you last month. We were talking about the number of sales in the United States according to the National Association of Realtors, and they actually finalized some data that changes the numbers that I showed you last month. So I'll pull this chart back up. This is basically what I showed you last month, but I had indicated that 2023 was the lowest number of sales since 1995, but it turns out 2024 did even a little bit less. So 2024 is the lowest number of sales since 1995. Okay, so the 30-year fixed rate mortgage is still floating around 7%. Most of the data that I look at and articles that I read, it's likely that interest rates will stay in the mid 6s, or they might get down to the mid 6s, maybe low 6s at best, but that's really sticking, which kind of flows right into the next chart I'll show you. Here's inflation. It has gone up a little bit. We're back up to 2.9%. You can see we're making great progress on it through last year, and now we see a little bit of an increase here since September. We'll also, just to show you this over a long period of time, here's the 5-year inflation graph. Obviously 2.9 is closely back to where we were before the pandemic, and you see this huge spike through the pandemic where we almost hit 9% on our inflation rate. All right, that's all the data I have for you this month. I did want to say one last message before I part ways. If you know anybody who's interested in buying or selling a house, please refer them to me. Referrals are a huge part of my business. I really focus on creating relationships with all of you in the hopes that I'll be the only real estate agent that you ever work with, and I hope to get that same opportunity with your friends and family. So if you know of anybody, please tell them to contact me. No matter what stage of the process that they're in, I'm happy to start the conversation. All right, we'll see you in March.